session 8 of 8 of the Constant Gardeners. I put it in quotation marks because it will be going next month as well. And then just a heads up for y'all, the July is probably going to be where I take a breather because I'm a little bit exhausted a bit. June's going to similarly be quite busy for me. But I'll probably return with it, and I'll also give you a heads up when Tracers drops, which is what I'll need that month to be doing, I think. Since we haven't really, I think system-wise, we're completely fine. So, and I've pretty much playtested as much as I need to. I think I've playtested this something like 40 sessions or something now. So I'm fairly certain it works. And it's not much of a drift anyway. So all I really needed to playtest was the drifts, and that probably would have been like one session, but I just like playing this game. So call me crazy. And yeah, so where we left off was people assaulting Nourish at tier 1. Not crazy at all. It's fine. Everything is fine. And Yeji landed in the uppermost floor with the crack in, and oh yeah, the lightning still hasn't happened either, right? Like we haven't triggered the actual thing that'll fuck up the building, and that will be good fictional positioning for you guys to, equalize things, because the guards might be a little less apt to find and kill you and stuff if the building gets struck by lightning and fucking up and stuff. So
yeah, there was a second phase to the crack and Nourish open.
Yeah, and
sort of thing.
Yeah, we just had the one round of actions. The Steve cracked it open. Yeji landed in the cracks. Yeah. Gabrish almost messed somebody up, but didn't, because realized that their gun was going to be no good against them anyhow. And we know that...
Very generous.
Yeah, well, and we know that Yeji is landing in the room where 2 guards were headed in, right? Because you were like, oh. And meanwhile, on the street, Cross is covering all y'all's asses hard. Like, the response clock went from 4 to, I think, 12 or something like that, or 6 to 12. I think it doubled. And yeah, we saw that they had been going in the opposite direction. So at least on that front, everything is going kind of to plan. Things haven't devolved too much. I don't know what everybody's stress is at already, but it should be fine. And the cool thing is, too, about this game, which I haven't really hit on that much because it was a late addition to our game, so it's felt maybe like a little bit weird fictionally, but potentially you could always flash back and acquire an asset that is a cybernetic to increase your action on a specific thing, dropping the money for it, and then saying, like, I've got a cyber eye or cyber arm or whatever, then you have an extra action dot in a thing if you really need to get an extra die in addition to pushing yourself. Because a flashback like that is pretty plausible, since you're basically all, shadow runners. But not really, because that game blows. Anyway. So, should we cut back to Steve on the building?
We can. Because the follow-up now is setting the tracer, right?
Yeah, because I think, or did we decide that Yeji has the tracer? Is that why they were going in? Yeah. So the tracer is in because Yeji's in there, right?
Then then maybe let me set you up. Maybe we get this scene, which is really like close up, focused on the Steve, with like the readout in front of my face, and oh no, it's not in front of my face. I already marked last time the multi-spectrum goggles that I'm wearing, that I obviously also attached, right? Like I have like not binoculars, but trinoculars.
I mean, because you don't want your mind's eye to get dusty.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got that set up, and we see like display flickering from the outside in the lenses of of whatever the goggles that I'm wearing, and I'm talking and analyzing and talking Yeji through where to go to set her up where she needs to go, right? Because there's like a big ruin, like there's smoke everywhere, and I'm cutting right through that with the multi-spectrum goggles to give her the information to
That's
basically
epic.
push her effect so she can get where the tracer needs to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Also, I just had a thought popped in my head. What if you attach the tracer to one of the guards and it like just like came down and struck them and like fucked them up real good? That would also be cool. But I am all about these goggles and the
Yeah, and I think what it looks like is like all the close up and all that weird shit, and whatever the Steve is saying sounds all super arcane techno babble bullshit, and right. Um, but we then get basically the crane shot of like going from his close up to showing the entire scenery on the building on fire, where like a huge slab on the side has like broken off and slid down, and there's smoke, and like to get everybody on board. Oh yeah, this was the situation at the end of last episode.
Sweet. Yeah.
Position here. I mean, right? Like I'm talking over comms. I'm wearing pretty obvious. Like I went in heavy, so there might be a risk here, which could just bump the response time, or who knows.
Yeah, maybe the risk is that you mess with the response time because there's like a conflicting thing going on too, right? Because I'm sure they're monitoring the area heavily now. So maybe somebody clicks onto your comm, somebody,
or attention
notices.
from like other securities, right? Or just like plain out sentinels or whatever.
Sentinels, yeah. Sure. So we'll wager the response time on this?
Yeah, or whatever you like, right? If the consequence could also be someone else shows up.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
but I'll probably roll a 6, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't need to worry now.
Yeah, we'll see then, I guess.
Burning wheel, we don't need to decide on that.
Yeah, I hope it's like a 3, and I'll be like, "Here's your plot twist. You're fucked."
But position and effect. Well, effect is probably not really because it's a setup.
Yeah, it's a setup, but I think it would
position.
be standard effect anyway. Yeah. And I think it'll just be risky, yeah, communicating.
Cool. A ripple.
And we should not forget too that you have. Oh yeah, I know what the complication might be. Ripple.
I think I might just push with stress here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So early in the mission.
I'm still like empty. Like I have all the stress to spend.
Oh.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
So that's one bonus die. And obviously this is study. I didn't even say, right? But I think this is study.
Yeah. What was your 4? Cool. It's a mini crit. What is your oh shoot, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, I rolled too fast.
No, that's okay. What was I thinking of? So there's a complication though. And so you'll grant the setup action though anyway.
Yeah.
Risky. Suffer harm, complication occurs, reduced effect, desperate position. So I think what ends up happening is...
Is it just 2 ticks on the response clock?
No, I want to... Oh, yeah. What is your trauma?
Oh. I'm unstable.
Okay, cool. So I think what ends up happening is, yeah, there's like a similar type of tracing line happens that I described last time, with like the green line that's tracing what everyone's doing in the area as possible like response things, except that who was that person that was your spotter? The friend of Cross. Yeah. Who is that? What is their name?
Hannah.
Yeah, so Hannah is there. The green dot gets painted, and she says, you go, and I'll lead them off when they get here.
So when who gets here?
Like, she's like, the green dot is on you, right? So she knows that eventually, at least, somebody's going to be showing up from the corp, just like with Cross when they had that green laser pointed back at him. Anytime they detect anything, it is sort of like, if you were a good citizen, you would just wait there, right, and be marked. Yeah, and then, but if you're not there, then they're kind of like, oh, it's a rip Hannah. So yeah, does the Steve care about Hannah essentially?
I don't know Hannah.
Nope.
Right? And nope. I'm like, I think I'm like, gotcha. Well, we've still got some time.
Yeah.
Let's get this right. And I'm like, I'm kind of brushing it off.
Right.
So, but I'm not resisting this.
Cool. Okay. I like this. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna make my own clock that you guys can't see. Just to check this. Where... Cool. Okay. And then, so that was the setup for Yeji, right? So the last thing that we saw of Yeji was they landed, right? And you did like a little roll. You sprang up, right? You're in that room like I described where, like half the building's, torn off and all that kind of stuff. It's really rigid, and you had lost your means of egress, your like futuristic parachute thing that would have carried you off, or maybe you would have just like freebased off Mission Impossible style or something, right? But that's not an option anymore. And when you spring up, we get like the reserve power lighting stuff going on in the room. And so it's got like a really dim, maybe we'll go like amber color that like sprays the room, right? And that's when the two guards pop through, and they look like the altered carbon black with like the red dots. It's like pretty corporate style stuff. And yeah, there's like debris everywhere and stuff, maybe probably like a couple dead bodies and stuff too. And maybe some like general screaming and like sounds of inner alarms and stuff like that, like evacuation alarms, right? Like side of the building gone, get out. Yeah, so these guards come through though. So what do you do? What's the plan?
So I guess I want to like initiate my muting tech and kind of try and just like slide into the sort of like rubble and wreckage to make sure that I'm not noticed, and then ultimately like come around and like flank them, that kind of thing.
Cool. You're like Metal Gear Soliding them.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Do you
Are
take
you
out the
like-
lights?
Are you like only listening to my information, or are you actually?
Oh well, the
talking back
ripple
and
was I
asking
muted
questions?
you.
Oh no! I just
no. Yes, I am listening to your information as I do this.
Okay.
What is your
But
information?
silent as
by the way?
always.
Are we running this? What is your information?
I'm like giving you where you need to go to put the tracer
Where
down.
do I need to go though?
Where do you think? Whatever you think is cool.
Yeah. So the idea is we blow the building open, so this massive tower, which could be a city on its own, is susceptible to the act of God that we want to put in there.
Yeah,
and will be its center and stuff, right?
Yeah, and also like as soon as all the other big factions are like, oh shit, they're vulnerable, it's gonna be shit's going down, right? Like especially you have all basically been like, as soon as Act of God hits and this thing is disabled and Carrion hears about it, they're probably going to be like sending in their best people to just like fuck these people up, right? So yeah.
So what if I like the idea of attacking or placing the tracer on one of the guards? Maybe that wasn't something that was intended, but ultimately that could be something that happens. And then I kick them down the elevator shaft. Maybe Gabraish can open that up or something like that. And then it will like this like column of lightning will just like pierce the entire inside of the building essentially.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. What about the other guard though?
We'll see what happens to him. Or her.
Okay. So this particular role will be to target one of the guards. Like we'll say that they're sweeping the room in opposite directions or whatever, right? And you're targeting the one that's closest to the door so that Gabraish could just like open it, signal the elevator, and you just kind of like take them unawares, basically, right?
Yeah, that would
as
be...
you're like moving through these the detritus of the ruins of this room, basically, right?
I think that would be special if we could make that happen.
Yeah. And let's be aware of any moves that you guys have as well.
I'm not affected by quality of security measures. If we flash back to show an exploitable habitual pattern of this guard, I would be able to have potency.
Have you guys been like, oh, didn't Cross do like a thing about that? So
Yeah.
maybe Cross just like explained it to you too or something.
Like sort of like how these guards would like survey a room that was...
Yeah, they have a very
that kind of thing.
Very distinctive pattern that they walk the rooms and do patrons. Anybody who went through like the military training that Hannah went through and that I know about would recognize this pattern.
That makes sense. Yeah, like that there's like a very like tactical maneuver for how like a pair of guards would be like surveying a scene like this.
Yeah. Sweet. Cool. So that's interesting. So that will be... So yeah, what action do you think this is then?
I think this is prowl.
Yeah, like all just doing it sneaky and
Yeah,
and like planting the tracer on him and then just sort of like kicking him into the elevator or whatever, right?
right.
Something
Yeah.
like that. And so is Gabraish, are you assisting then?
Yes, I've lived for this moment to open an elevator door.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted to kill this guard all along, right? Now's the chance. Cool. I could... Let's see. I think it's definitely a risky position, at least. You have flashback to know exactly where they're going and stuff too, and you're not trying to kill them though. So I'll be nice and keep it at risky. With right now, I think you're at limited effect though. They're like 2 tiers higher than you and highly trained, so once you do make yourself known and put the tracer on them, I think that's the point in which things come into contention. Whether they not just like, the actual getting them in the elevator part, I think, is going to be the hard part, not the sneak in the putting on the tracer part. So yeah, I think it would be risky limited. If you want to ripple, I could tick this clock called Hannah and say that the other guard, while you're doing this, is like has the helmet working and maybe follows one of the green points towards the Steve and sees Hannah, and Hannah's gonna get like a little shot. Or I'll just roll a fortune to see who's taking damage.
Well, I already lost my friend, so I don't feel bad.
No. Nobody should have friends.
I feel like friends are expendable. With friends like these, who needs friends? Yeah, and then a technical question is like, what is the potency that I'm getting off of this? Is that an extra die or is that effect?
If you're getting potency, then you get higher effect.
Okay. So would I go from limited to standard then? Or
yeah, and then if you took a ripple or push yourself, you could go to great effect, or you could put your position up to controlled or something like that as well.
Ooh. I will take the ripple and go to controlled.
Okay. Or you'd go to great then. Sorry. Like you wouldn't increase your position without a setup, you'd increase your effect.
Oh, okay.
So what I meant to say is you can take a D from that or increased effect.
Oh, got it.
Position only goes up with setup actions.
Yeah.
Which the Steve is doing, kind of. Is this what you think, Matthias? Do you think this is what the role applies to then? Doesn't seem like there'll be a secondary role to this.
Yeah, this is the for her to get where she needs to go, and that's then hopefully been unproblematic and nothing to worry about.
Yeah, so maybe the Steve is like telling Yeji, you need to hit this particular point, and the solution that Yeji has come to is to throw a body down there to hit that point, right?
I don't want to go down there. Well, and like, yeah, I've got maybe my own goal of where I want to go in here. So yeah, like that's a way I see that as an opportunity to kind of like shortstop that. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you're getting a lot of stuff here. So first of all, from that setup, you can increase your position from risky to controlled if you'd like.
Okay.
And then from your potency, you'll go from limited to standard.
Okay.
You're getting an assist from Gabrash, right, for 1D. And then for this ripple, I'll basically fill in the Hannah clock, meaning that they're not the response time, but a specific contingent of people or whatever are going to be mobilized against Hannah and the Steve a lot sooner than the Steve was thinking, right? He was like, we got time. This will make it so they ain't got no time. Or you can push yourself.
So that extra die was going to be the... Okay, so sorry. Putting Steve and Hannah at risk, the Steve and Hannah at risk was going to be an extra die, right?
Or effect.
Or effect.
You can choose. It's that, or you can push
effect would go to great effect. So I think I'm happy with just standard effect here. Like I'm not sure what great effect is going to achieve on like kicking the tracer down an elevator shaft. So I'm just going to call it at that. I am going to take my shot and not taking that die. So I'll just take the one bonus die instead, and we'll let the Steve and Hannah live another tick of the clock.
Okay, so you are taking the ripple?
I'm not taking
the ripple.
Yeah.
Okay, you're pushing yourself.
I'm only at one bonus. I only want one bonus die here.
The one that Gabrash is giving you?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not pushing yourself and you're not taking a ripple.
Correct. correct.
Okay, sounds good.
I feel good about this. We'll see.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeji likes to gamble.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Mini crit and mini crit.
Mini crits.
Yeah.
Gamble. You have 4 fucking dice. Where's the gamble in that?
Well, that's why I didn't think I needed like a stack of 6 dice.
Well, apparently you did.
Well, that's true.
Okay, so on a 4 or 5, which you got a lot of, you hesitate, withdraw, and try a different approach, or else do it with a minor consequence. A minor complication occurs, reduced effect, lesser harm, risky position. What I like about this minor complication. What I really want him, I don't know if I could label this as a minor complication, but I want him to do is basically like when he's about to fall, do the like grab you first thing, right?
Oh.
Do you think that's a minor complication though? Is that unfair?
What if it pulls me down like a couple floors? So it's going to separate me and Gabrish?
No.
I think that's even more of a...
Is that too much?
I would say grabbing you is lesser than that, right? Like, because then you just have to contend with him going down still, right? You end up in a risky position, I think is what I'm going for, right?
Sure.
I mean, Gabrish can still resist it.
Exactly.
I'm jumping after him.
Yeah, there's always teamwork.
I mean, the other thing you could do is like he grabs for you, but like grabs some piece of tech or equipment that you have, and so still falls, but like you have to mark off one use of equipment or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good compromise. Let's do that then. So you can just mark off one load of whatever you want. So you have less load, unless you want to resist that, right? Because then the hand just would grab nothing instead of whatever.
Yeah, okay. They can take a load of something.
Yeah, good one, Yoshi. So this is kind of like why I like Blades, right? Like everyone's like a mini GM and it's all like collaborative and stuff. I really dig it. Yeah, that's good. I like that a lot. And then so, yeah, do you want to narrate the rest of the scene then for what you think happens?
Yeah, so he grabs me and what does he grab? I would say maybe it's like a set of those lockpicks. And so like he grabs, like, because they're kind of like hanging, and he assumes that like, oh, I'll just be able to like grab those and like hang on. But those just snap away really quickly because like she has to be able to pull them out very stealthily. And so they just snap away. Yeah, she probably gives him like an extra kick down the elevator as well. And it's all timed, and like in in her earpiece, she just hears the Steve like babbling on of all this technical information of like what floor and like what approach, and like you guys will have to like disengage this lock and like you'll want to use like, yeah, just all this kind of like techno mumbo jumbo. And Yeji is just like, I think we've got it taken care of.
Well, because yeah, like maybe it's saying like the generator that you need to hit or whatever, like this piece of technology is like just outside the elevator doors of number 4 or whatever, right? And then as soon as the body is like, and he's level 4, you're like, eh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Steve is like, what? How? You could... Are you sure? Are you sure?
I'm sure. Don't worry about it. I used my lock picks, but we're okay.
And then
like
I guess
nope.
That's when the massive like
shit.
what is the act of God, or not the act of God, but is it a lightning bolt? Like what is the setup thing? Is it a lightning bolt? Or
I like the idea because she had shown us like a lightning bolt, and so I like the idea that this is just going to be like a barrage of them.
Oh, cool.
Like just kind of repetitively for, I don't know. I mean, until we decide to stop it, essentially.
Yeah, I think like during this scene, we get cuts up to the roof where there's a few lightning bolts starting, and they always get caught by the little lightning poles that they have standing up on all the buildings. But then like a thick one or whatever strikes, and we follow it like point of view as if it was like a bullet or whatever, right? And it just like CGIs, goes in the hole, and then like finds the elevator shaft and is like zooming towards this guy, and then it just like fries everything, right? Messes it up. So, and then the barrage just like kind of continues, right?
Yeah, like I would say, I don't know, every like 15, 20 seconds, something like that.
Cool. Let's see. I think, yeah, there's still the 4 or 5 would increase it by 2, which leaves the 1 piece left. So there's still maybe one thing left to do in the fiction. But what would that be?
I mean, I've got an idea, but I don't know who's going to execute it because it may not be me. It might be somebody else. But I totally like the tropey thing where a bunch of people come in to like rescue, or the SWAT team or the fire department or something like that, and like they go into the thing, but like we do the like whatever the move is, but like then we come back out and it's like us like ripping off the fireman's mask of like that's how we get out type thing.
Oh, okay. So we'll leave that one little slice for the exit of you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't know who's going to do that. That part of it, but like I love that trope of like where they went in as the SWAT team or whatever and come back out and everybody doesn't think it's them, but they end up sitting in the ambulance or whatever it is.
I think for sure fictionally we could say that we drop them a tier with this like attack by the end of it. Another thing I was thinking of is we could handle it as an acquire asset, where you're getting like much higher tier stuff and employing it against like the actual building, but I don't know if that's interesting. We could just say that it knocks them down a tier, like this entire attack or whatever, right? Diaz?
Yeah. You could also like everybody who wants to do this or wants to have this fictional positioning could just mark off subterfuge supplies. Then we're paying a cost, and then it's more maybe like a hack or something like that makes it possible that we pass the perfunctory tests or something like that to really pass as the fireman or the
I have an idea too. What about
EMTs or something?
What about the final thing is you guys I like the idea of this thing that's being hit like sort of fries the mainframe or whatever, because if you're trying to get information, maybe all the doors suddenly go from like red to green or whatever, right? Like as the building is like resetting and you have a certain amount of time. So yeah, I like the idea of like marking subterfuge supplies, and it sort of makes sense too, right? Like the lightning maybe was like an EMP-ish thing that like hit the building. And so you need to like mark it both to do it, but also so that you can still operate all your stuff, right? Like you've insulated your gear or whatever, right? Is that fair? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I like and plus it like goes towards your competency too, right? Like suddenly.
And yeah, like if we want to make that a thing, I could flashback to actually modify our like that equipment to be insulated against that. If we want to do that.
I like that a lot too, because it kind of sets up Gabraish to be able to fuck up this guard, right? Who wanted like Gabraish is like, all I want to do is kill this guard. And now like if your stuff is insulated, you could take on this guard. And I like the scene of like this guard being like click, 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 like can't fire the gun or whatever. And you're like, what's up now, bitch, right? So
I had machinations to set him up for you to take down, but
okay. Well, either way, whatever you guys think is.
Yeah, cool.
But you
Yeah,
did a cool
that's
thing, though.
Right?
So yeah,
That's
all of that happens. And then, cool. So what is it that you wanted to do then, Gabrish?
Well, I'm in this disguise that we set up because I snuck my way in here. So, presuming that the guard hadn't seen me yet, I want to like run a ruse where I'm like, oh my god, help! This guy, he just kicked someone down an elevator shaft.
Yeah.
Attack! And then just distract them as the guard's trying to like save me. And maybe like probably Yeji has like maneuvered somewhere to like surprise them after this.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking. That's gonna
I
be
would
the
say
complication. Wait a minute. Yeah, I like that a lot. So is the scene like you stumbling into the room looking wounded, saying like they're back there or whatever to this guard?
Yeah. There's a very dramatic moment where Gabrish is like, please help. Please help me. I just threw a car down the elevator shaft.
Yeah, and I like Yoshi's idea of the ripple for it being you give away Eiji's name. That's a good one.
Ooh, do I want to do that to Eiji?
You guys do like to name drop each other on jobs. The only problem with that is that you guys keep doing it and then deflecting all your heat to the coils. It's hard to act on. I'm like, yes, name drop, and then you're like, and the coil did it. Oh, I'm like, fuck.
I'll throw you a bone, Fisher. I'll take that ripple.
Cool. And so, what action do you think this is?
Oh, yeah, that's the part where I have to play the game. I get to sway, right? Because I'm like putting on a performance, lying to them.
Yeah. So I think it's risky because they might not believe you, right? Standard effect though, you've already got your disguise, right? So that would bump you from limited to standard.
Cool. I'll take a 1D, plus 1D.
Yep.
No.
Hashtag get that ripple.
Ooh,
6.
I didn't even do that.
Good thing you had 2 dice on that one. Either the best or the worst. Cool. So yeah. And is it just that they buy into it completely? That's the thing?
Yeah, I think it disorients them, the guard at first, because they're in this like highly tactical training situation, and like maybe they like didn't see there probably shouldn't be any employees on this floor, so like to have somebody who looks like an employee and like has this story, they're probably just like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
So
well, and also
moment.
I imagine like his helmet is still like booting up and shit too, right? And his gun slung over his shoulder. We still see it's like red, right? Like it's not like ready to be shot or whatever. And so I think he's like looking for as much help as you are, kind of like relieved that like you're not an enemy or whatever. He's like rebooting and stuff like that. And is this a setup for Yeji then?
That's what I was saying. If Yeji wants to take it,
Yeah, it's a good setup.
Yeah. So I'm gonna activate my blade's searing capabilities.
Oh.
And I'm just gonna kill this guy.
Okay.
From behind.
From behind.
He's distracted, right?
Okay, so like you're just like on the peripheral, moving around the room or something like that.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, I was like, well, you were like by the elevator, so you would need to come in the room first anyway. But yeah, so that you're being all sneaky, and cool. So I think, well, yeah, I think it would be risky standard with. Well, what do your knives give you? Potency?
I don't know. The rule does not say that.
What does it say?
It says activate their searing capabilities with power equal to a sun jet.
Yeah, so you fuck them up.
Potency. Okay, so that's potency.
Yeah. And yeah, okay, so that'll be good. So you'll get standard effect even against their like top tier
Oh, okay.
Armor action going on, which is that's what you needed.
Man, taking these high tier enemies is tough.
Yeah.
Now I know. I might not have suggested this idea if I had known. No, this is fun.
I thought it would be better if I set you up.
No, this is awesome. This is fun.
Well, so now you can use the setup for either greater effect or a better position. It's your choice.
Sorry, I always have to look and see what the position stuff will do for me.
Positioning is basically like even a fail is like not as bad, right?
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's bump the positioning.
Okay, cool. So it'll be controlled, standard, and then I can't think of a ripple.
I don't need a ripple. Okay. Oh no!
Yeah. Well, at least you did it, right? So that's good. Four is good. You hesitate, withdraw, and try a different approach, or else do it with a minor consequence. A minor complication occurs. Well, the natural thing that I can think of is that you do it, and it like maybe his armor has some sort of like wiring in it or some sort of cybernetic thing, and when your blades go through it, it sort of like shorts it so that it stops your searing capabilities in your blades, right?
Okay.
You can resist that if you like, though.
Yeah. Can I? Yeah, I'm gonna resist that.
How do you do that?
Going to resist it by using the other blade as well.
Oh, okay.
That's not a creative resist, but just like adding even more power into the system so that it doesn't like short it out, essentially.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. So that sounds like prowess, probably.
And we'll just do it straight, I guess.
So you get no stress.
Hey.
Yeah. That's how I build my characters too. I usually have lower dice, but I have all the resistance. So it ends up being like pretty fun because even if I fail, then I just like resist it, and I don't know, I like the fiction that way.
Okay.
Cool. But you're a cheater because you have 3 in prowl too, so you're a little min-maxer. Cool, yeah. So that works. Like we instead just see the wiring kind of like sputter out instead of like, take it out before, and then we'll cut back down to Cross having just uber succeeded. What is the next step of your ultimate plan?
I think for me, it's now getting into the building so that like I can help take out people. And so
I think like that's like you see the whole building just go dead then, right?
Yeah. So like I think it might just be me like sort of like waiting in for the building to go dead and then going out, like going in one of those exit only doors type thing that has an alarm on it type thing. And like I'm just waiting, and then like the ding or whatever it is, and it's just like pull open like the door that should be totally locked and send off an alarm, but now it doesn't type thing.
Nice. I like that. And so where are you going?
I think I'm gonna go where am I going? I'm all about taking down a Nourish or something like that. Like that's what I seem to care more about than like the score. So like I think it's
maybe you're heading to like the mainframe to get the hard drives or something,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
you guys
exactly.
were, if I remember correctly, there was a plan to get information and release it to ruin their
exactly. Yeah. So I think that's where I'm heading. Is I'm heading to like the data store or wherever it is to get a bunch of information to just release it and go public.
Okay. And are you doing this like avoiding?
Yeah. So like I think this is going to be Ghost of like getting in, avoiding people, getting to the place of where I need to go, and so on.
Cool. Ordinarily, I would have said this is desperate, but they don't even have the floodlighting on anymore, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I will take, like, let you push it to desperate to get like a greater effect or something. Like how can I push this? Maybe I leave something that they can follow me later or trace it back to me type thing to push it to desperate.
Are you dressed as one of those guards too? Did everybody do that? Or
yeah, I think I am, but maybe there's something that gives me away. Like,
yeah, I like that too. Like maybe people, like the thing that's on the line is people like notice you as not being one of the guards, right? Like
perfect. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, it's like the Inglorious Bastards thing, right? When you're like doing the 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
But obviously not that stupid. Yeah, something will give you away. I like that as stakes for sure.
Cool. So
if you would like a ripple, I would enjoy increasing the response time on you.
yeah, that's fair. So, or actually, let me see. Currently, we're at desperate, but what effect?
Great.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, you went from standard to great.
Yeah. So desperate, great, and the ripple. Yeah. I'll take the increased response time. Maybe for another D. For a bonus die. So that puts me at desperate, great with 1 bonus die.
Cool. I like it. Cool. So, in a desperate situation, you do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer severe harm. A serious complication occurs. You have reduced effect. So, let's see. A serious complication. I think that you do get noticed. And I think we see like another guard in like similar attire or whatever as you sees you, and like, let's see, what is incomplete about your ensemble? Maybe, I know, you have the wrong gun, right? Because you don't have the same tier weapon as them. Perfect. So when they see that, I think what happens is they like plug you in the back, right? Like they take a shot and
no,
call it.
No.
Ed.
I think this is totally me, like seeing them notice, and then before the shot gets off, it's totally me like just trying to get in there quick before they get it. And so like maybe it's they don't take the shot first, maybe they call in first. And so like what I'm trying to resist is the shots, not necessarily like the call in, so that I don't get hurt.
Well, and you know that they can't really call in anyway. They're basically, if there's people around them, they will hear them, and that's it. Because the EMP went off, right?
Cool. Yeah, I will totally resist that.
Cool. And so you're just moving quickly to just like dodge it or get in.
Exactly, to get out of cover, because they can't call anybody else, like to have them miss the shot. I notice it quick enough, and so I can move quick enough to get out of the shot that they're firing at me. Cool. Resisting. Look at all those ones.
Yeah, but it's still a 3, so
it's
not the worst. Plus, the way you roll, probably the next time you resist, you'll just be getting your stress back or some shit anyway. So.
I mean, it does help. I have 4 dice on a prowess resist, so
yeah. So maybe I like the image of them like calling out and being like, "Stop that guard" or whatever, right? And there's like some nerdy technician or whatever who's just about to go in that room, and what we see is they like start spraying. It goes like the bullets start hitting the wall as it's like you're running or whatever, and then you roll just inside as the doors close, and that lab technician goes in or whatever, right?
Yeah,
And
fantastic.
yeah, and then should we? Well, we'll take a break and then we'll go to the Steve. Does that sound good? Cool. So come back at 45. Sound good? Hey, Yoshi, are you getting into any Veil 2020 stuff?
I can totally come and join those. I think when I looked at the one that was up there, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it based on time of when it was, and then there was something else that I couldn't do it. I think it was full by the time I actually got around to looking at it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll be running it the next month for sure, because the adventure that I'm running from Cyberpunk 2020 is like massive. it on the cover it's like a mega adventure, it says, and it really is. It's like, it's pretty cool because it's basically a tour of like post dystopian America that is like some bleak shit. They're just like, and this place is nuked, and this place is nuked. I'm just like, whoa, okay, some shit happened here.
Nice, cool.
Yeah, cool. I would like to tie in Gabia. What is that, Matthias?
Well, I'm testing your own lore.
Okay.
Gabia is a frontline operative for Carrion.
Oh, okay.
In your description there.
Very distinctive haircuts.
That was from the reference Yoshi dropped.
Oh, okay.
Two different.
Did I write that?
No, it says frontline operative, competent, pessimistic, disassociated. And here's how I would like to frame this.
Okay.
I think we're right. We are on this protruding balcony thing, and I take off my goggles, and turn towards Hannah, and I'm like, hold tight here. And I kind of point towards the missile launcher. There's a second rocket should you need it. And I head inside, right? There's this empty, dark, whatever apartment or inside at least that is there. And as I'm heading inside, I'm like opening like the jacket that I'm wearing, like, right, it looked all like suited up for being on a special ops mission kind of thing. And I'm taking that off, and I'm like wearing a suit underneath, and I'm like fixing a tie, and heading towards the exit, or like the door for where the elevator is, and taking a deep breath. Well, let's hope she's there. As I step into the elevator, I want to make a flashback where I met with some information brokers that they have to convince them to have Gabia here today, to witness all of this.
Cool. I like that.
And I would assume that's probably like a sway roll.
Yeah. So you're just like, how much of your plan do you tell them?
I need to keep some aces up my sleeve for the actual conversation if I manage this, right? If she's actually there.
Yeah.
So this is about, convincing them that I want one of their big operatives there to bear witness to what we're doing, because it could further their cause, right? They want to get in on the corporate congress or council, And if Nourish is being weakened, like that could be a perfect opportunity for them.
Right.
And I want to basically do this because we're tier 1, they're tier 3. If I just get them here to bear witness, they don't have to be involved today. Potentially not at all, right? But if they see what's happening, maybe then I can capitalize on that. And yeah, if this goes well, my idea is probably going to be to convince her to, okay, so what information do you need? We have a man on the inside, or a woman on the inside at the where, like, at their databases, right? So we can actually get something in that sense. That's kind of what I'm angling towards. But that's obviously at least one rollout.
Yeah. So do you want this to be desperate? Is that what you're angling for?
No, not necessarily. Like I just want it to be here. If you feel like I have an idea how to make it desperate.
Well, it's up to you if you want to go for desperate. I think so far it'd be risky. They're definitely, like, the corporate culture is to, like, the snake that eats itself, basically, right? Like, this is a very good nugget that you're giving them, right? Like, this is a golden goose opportunity. So just showing up is pretty low stakes. I think it would be risky because, like, maybe they won't. But if you want to push it to desperate, I'm open to that.
And you're saying that this would be risky standard?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it would just be like they show up or they don't, right? I think it's enticing enough, but on the flip side, it could just be like they assume that it's a trap or something like that, right?
Yeah, no, I have an idea how to make it desperate, but I might hold that back for the actual negotiation or something to get more effect. But
okay,
so not yet. But I do have an idea for a ripple if you don't have one to offer me.
The only thing in the back of my mind, I don't want to outright kill Hannah because I think that would be like a little cheap in retrospect, but something to do with, like, I like the idea of Hannah having her own motivations against Nourish because she was employed by them before. So, like, just taking a shot at the building anyway, despite knowing that there's some operatives in there, just to, like, get back at them or something like that is a neat thing for me. But what was yours?
Yeah, I mean, that's also interesting. Maybe that's interesting. My idea was I'm willing to offer something like the ripple is Gabia is here, or, well, if I make the roll and everything checks out and she's here, the ripple is she didn't come unprepared. Rather the opposite. She knows everything you could potentially know about the Steve. So there's no way for me to bullshit her.
I like that too. I think both are pretty compelling. We could always pocket the Hannah one for the next one or something.
Yeah, and maybe for like one, like, because it doesn't directly affect me, I'm not being shot with rockets. That could be one that one of the others want to take.
That's true. Yeah, that might be more fair.
Yeah.
Although I kind of like it's less fair on a player, but it's like almost more interesting to have it out of their hands. Like, that's what makes it a ripple, right? Is that it's like a hard decision for you to make because it affects somebody else. Yeah. So, but yeah, I like the idea of this. Like, she already has done her due diligence, right? She knows about the Steve, and she has guards and stuff. So if it is a trap, you'll just get fucked up anyway.
Right. If I fail this might turn out very bad for the Steve. Yeah, that's still on the line as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's do risky standard and your ripple, right?
Okay. Let's see how this goes. That's a 4. 5.
5. Risky. You do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer harm. Complication occurs. Reduced effect. You end up in a desperate position. Yes. So you open the door. She's there, right? And I think what happens is you get in, you greet each other, all that kind of stuff. You had already predisposed where you were going to meet on the elevator, like some floor, but she pushes another floor, right? What?
Oh, okay. Oh,
like
yeah.
She takes you
okay.
somewhere else.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too, because I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go down 3 floors and meet her in the apartment that has like a great like a secondary overlook over what's happening. But I'm actually at the elevator, and as the elevator door opens, she's there in front of me.
Yeah. And I think she's like got her hands behind her back, but you know that she probably has like a weapon there or whatever, right? And she just sort of thinly smiles at you and pushes like a different floor, like a penthouse or something like that, right? Like where you watch the world explode in glory, luxurious thing, right?
I step into the elevator, like next to her, like 2 business people riding an elevator, not having anything to do with one another. Like we see maybe like my eyes flicker towards the buttons, but I don't say anything or anything. We see this one little sweat bead on the side,
right? And I think she's just like she's acting as though she's in control, right? Like she isn't smiling, but she's pretty smug, and she looks like this. She's got like pale skin and like gold earrings that have like this string of gold around like not like a necklace, but it's sort of like a beehive thing, like fancy around there, right? And then like the nose ring is like this triangular thing. She looks very like posh, put together, but there's definitely an air of like danger around her, right? Like she's not like a damsel or anything like that. And she takes you to like the penthouse. It's like super opulent, and I think it's like sparsely furnished, and like there's it's like a singular like grand piano or something that is like it would be very hard to get that in this setting, right? Like it's like people just don't make that stuff anymore, and it's like in great condition, and it's just like the set piece of it, like all cinematography in this is like centered around this iconic piece that is like doubling as the power dynamics in here. And as you head out to like it's all glass that goes up, and so you can see like what's happening, and you see like the lightning bolt is struck. The tower's probably got some like smoke and shit coming out of it, and
we catch those reflections in the glass as we like walk up to look over the scenery.
Yeah. And the position that I'm putting you in now is, she says, it seems your information was correct, but what's to stop me from just killing you now and doing what I want anyway?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So you're in a desperate situation, right? And
do you want to cut here? Or
yeah, I think so. That's
I like that too. Yeah,
a good little tension thing. So let's poll and see what everyone's doing, and then we'll cut into the building as we need to. So Darren, what's the plan going forward?
Yeah, I definitely want to do my Hackers, the 1999 film stuff.
Yeah, I definitely need a hard line so I can put in my little free long distance.
I got my cord on a string, so I get a free call.
And at a player level, do we know do you have like an alternate plan with this too? Like, is everybody in here on board for the like the larger plan of getting the information? But does everybody also have their own machinations going on as well?
Yeah, I think mine are pretty lightweight, maybe compared to what everyone else has.
Bring it all down.
Because I'm into everything we're doing. I'm into like releasing a bunch of information. I think that maybe Gabratia's personal goal though is to just get probably just get information that the split peas would be interested in, and then disseminating that like through the haunt community, through like smaller, more hidden things that can get distributed outside of the city and to people who need it, things like
that. Okay, so let's see. Cool. Okay, so and then what about Yeji? What's the plan for Yeji?
Wait, before we get there, I think I'm totally set up like in the comms room to like put in the hard line or whatever the connection that Gabratia needs.
Oh,
like
okay.
so like for me, that's I think what I'm doing is like it's me talking to Gabratia of like I'm supposed to connect the red wire to the blue and white one. Like all right, I'm doing what you say, like and setting Gabratia up to do the hacking to get all the information.
Cool. Yeah, so you're like setting it up so that Gabratia could like plug in the Ethernet cord in any place and it would connect to the servers or whatever, right? Okay, cool. And what about Yeji? What's Yeji's master plan here?
So I think like we talked about off screen last week, Yeji wants blood revenge. So she's trying to get to a boardroom where she knows a meeting is going on.
Oh, cool. Okay. So that was also part of the timing of choosing now then, right? Like
yes, yeah.
Cool.
And that's probably why she wanted to like fly in and take the tracker in and all of that kind of thing. Maybe people were even like, hey, we got Gabratia who can dress up and get inside. Like
calm down, yeah.
She's like, no, you have to leave this to a professional. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you're heading to a bloody Kill Bill slaughter of a boardroom then. I like that a lot. I am into that. So should we let's culminate to that, because that will be pretty cool. Why don't we have Cross? It sounds like you're setting up Gabratia.
Yeah, that's totally my plan, is to set up Gabratia.
Cool.
So I think this is I guess it's finesse. Like I feel like I'm doing things that are kind of like detailed and hooking things up. Stuff like that.
Sure. Let's see. So
unless anybody else can think of something else that sounds better, but that feels like the most appropriate thing to me.
Yeah, it's a finesse an item from someone's pocket, employ a subtle misdirection, which seems this is a thing, right?
Yeah.
Handle a vehicle. Yeah, so it seems like that is fitting to me. And is Gabratia helping by doing the red wire to the white wire and all that kind of stuff, or what?
Yeah, I didn't know I could help us set up, but yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Like the wires.
Cool.
There's no orange wire, Cross. Stop the same colors.
Yeah. And so let's see. I think it's risky just from a time-related thing, because I think the first area that they're going to move to secure is probably this room, right?
Yeah, totally.
So you're at risk for that. Also, as a ripple, I will totally offer the response clock again, if you would like it.
What's our response clock at now?
It's only at 2.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that ripple.
Okay.
And I'll take it for an extra D, because it's risky standard, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll take that with 2 bonus dice. 1 for the assist, 1 for the ripple.
Cool.
Oh,
that's a rough day. Okay, so in a risky situation, things go badly. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, you end up in a desperate position. You lose this opportunity. So I think what happens with this is you do it, right? And everything's the music is all whoa shit. My door just closed from the wind currents. So that was interesting. Yeah, so you do it, all the things get spliced in correctly and all that kind of stuff, right? But then as Gabrish is trying to connect, you're like, oh shit, I think the EMP fried the cabling in the building, right? So you lose this opportunity.
I'm gonna resist that. Let's see, how do I resist this?
An easy thing that I could think of is instead of it using the cable of the building, you just like have a Wi-Fi router thing or something like that, right?
Perfect.
Something like that.
That sounds awesome. Well, yeah. So like it's the connecting all of the cables, and then like the last piece of it is like putting in this thing with this antenna, and like it just like clips off of it so that now it's going into like Wi-Fi type thing.
Sounds good.
That feels like resisting with insight. Like that's what that feels like, knowing what to go on ahead of time.
Yeah, totally. Did you guys hear that door slam?
Yeah, we heard it.
Yeah. Like, whoa, that was loud. Oh wow, nice little mini crit. So just one,
which is good because I only had 3 stress to spare. So
Ooh. And what's your trauma again?
My trauma is obsessed, so like going after Nourish above other safety things.
Cool. Okay, so then we cut to Gabrish. You've got like, bars, right? You've got signal.
I got service.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe when I like infiltrated before, there was like an office on the floor that I kind of took over. So I think I like head back in there and I find my fine hacking gear that I'll type in my password to the Wi-Fi too.
And you have rootkit?
Yeah, and I have rootkit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good then. So
I'm ready.
So your effect would probably be great then, right? Because you have fine, and their tier and everything doesn't matter to you anyway, right?
Rootkit just adds 1d and 1. You have +1d in effect when hacking above your tier.
Yeah, so your item brings it up 1, and then you have rootkit, so great effect.
Cool.
And an extra D, so you're just like, boom, this is my thing.
Gonna get all their goodies.
Yeah. So this is you like ripping that stuff that you need, right? From the hard drives or whatever, or?
Yeah, is this like everything? Like I'm probably part of my hacking gear is I'm like downloading a whole bunch of stuff, and then maybe even with the Wi-Fi, maybe it's like a satellite, if we can push it this far. There's like a satellite uplink that some stuff is also broadcasting simultaneously. It's like
if you want, I will give you that with a desperate instead of a risky.
Okay. Yeah.
If you want to be broadcasting it live, that is a desperate, but it's a thing that you could do. And it's XP too. Ooh, XP. Ooh.
I know. And I have 4 dice. Because 2 for hack, rootkit, and setup. Is that right?
Setup, you could take greater effect or greater position, and you already have great effect. So you could have extreme effect, or you could have a control position.
Oh wait, setup.
Or you would have so you could, from the setup for what Yoshi did, right? You can take +1 effect or +1 position, and so you could be doing that desperate position and bumping it up to risky if you wanted to. Like streaming it live.
And the effect is still great.
Yeah, the effect is still great. Or you could push it to extreme effect and keep it as a desperate if you want XP.
I wonder what is an extreme effect look like.
Well, for you doing this, I'll start a clock, and so if you have extreme effect, you'll just be getting more ticks on the clock, right? So I'll do a 6-sided clock.
Oh my god, what do I know what I want to do? A desperate roll, extreme effect, or a controlled roll, or a risky roll with regular or
I mean, the
creative.
stuff, 6-sided clock. So normal, if you get a 6, right, that is 3 ticks typically. If you do extreme effect, though, that's an extra 2, so that's 5 out of 6. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'll take extreme effect, and then I'll have 3 dice for the desperate roll.
Mm-hmm. And this is without pushing yourself, right?
And this is without pushing myself.
So you could have a ripple if you want.
Do you? What's the ripple?
I kind of like the Hannah thing, right? The Hannah takes another shot at the building.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good one. Yeah.
Cool.
Into that. So it's effective extreme. And then I have some on this one. And then it's 2 bonus dice. Okay, this is a lot.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things going on. It's hard to keep everything straight.
Yeah.
Okay, so like a
yeah.
triple crit. Yeah, so that's 3 6s and a 5, so not the worst. So I think you can definitely just fill up the entire clock, right? Because it would only take 1 more tick, and you'd have technically more effect than the ticks on the clock. So I guess that's just done for 1, but you have additional effect and another 6. Some people only count it as a double crit if you get 4 6s, but I think it's a double crit if you get 3 6s, because what the fuck? 3 6s is a lot. So let's say that you fill it up all the way, and then you have some like a slight bonus effect of some kind, right? Like, what do you think? Maybe
bonus payout.
What?
More money.
Yeah.
More money.
Yeah. Actually,
like you get additional data, right? Like the stuff that you, that could totally be a thing. We could move the score from, like, I don't know. It would probably, I think we already said, was going to be huge, right? Like 12 or 14 or something to, like, I don't know, like 16 or something like that. 40. Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Or maybe if you want something more self-centered, the entire data stream is signed Gibberish, so everybody know, like, you're famous.
That's good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What are your own? Do you have any clocks that you're working on?
No, I think I'm expanding turf.
Yeah, I don't know if that would have
sign the deed of the building over.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
But I really like. You know, I don't want to. Wait. Can I sign it for the split peas? Or is that pushing in the wrong direction?
Well, you already have +3 status with them, so it would be cool, but like that's what I think mechanically it would be, right? Yeah, it's an increase in status, but I think you're already +3, which is kind of what got you here.
Well, let's just do the money. That's enough.
More money?
That's enough prestige for me. The people who need to know it was me know it's me.
Remember, more money, more problems, right? So.
That's literally the name of the game.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, you just get like additional stuff, like maybe well, I mean, the money / the intel could also just be the stuff that you needed to know about that secondary thing, right? Like where they're holding that person, and so they like you wouldn't even really need to do that job because they literally can't keep that person there anymore. It's leaked information. So if they kept doing that, people would be like, "What the fuck, bro?" And then you can also sell that information, right?
Cool.
Does that sound good? That's some good effect. And then make sure you mark. Yeah, because you're beyond extreme effect by 2 magnitudes, essentially. So there's That's a thing.
Oh my God.
Planetary effect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What
Yeah.
a role.
Yeah, that's a thing. So Cabrace definitely is like, if anyone was like, man, Cabrace doesn't do much in the fiction, they're like, holy shit.
For it.
Yeah.
For a moment.
Yeah, this is like the Cabrace shines moment. So do you have any do you want to like narrate anything in the fiction to show yourself being like real cool and all that kind of stuff? Or?
I think that the role says it all. No, I don't know. I don't know what do hackers look like when they're being cool. I think it's like
You type it like, 250 miles an hour or whatever, right? I had a hacker friend in high school that his hands looked freaky when he was typing. It literally looked like a wave. Like his hands were making waves and words would just fly at the
wait,
screen.
that's good. I took the cybernetic I took as my hands can like split into like tools and shit. So maybe that's what you see. There's like more like keyboards than are necessary, or like seems to be there are more like inputs than there seem to be like things receiving input. And it's just gibberish with like 3 hands worth or 4 hands worth just typing and going through all this stuff. And then
it's like the scene from Swordfish. Like if people were watching, they're like, hey, it's like the scene from Swordfish, but like amped up by like 4 times, right? Like there's like in Swordfish there's 4 monitors, right, all connected, and in this one it's like 4, 8, 12, and then like 3 keyboards, and you're just like going from one to the other, and like I don't know, there's some kind of like techno trance music playing or whatever.
Yeah,
and your hands are like synced with the song. Yeah, that'd be fun.
That's really good, Matthias. The refresh rate and display can't keep up yet. It's just lagging.
Cool. Yeah,
everything is lagging.
Sweet. Yeah, it's awesome. And then like, yeah, all this stuff is being streamed, and I think there's like a red light on the monitor or something like that, and the camera focuses in on it and then gets like all blurry as if it was an eye. And then when it refocuses, we're out on the we're at in like a hallway where Yeji is like making their way to the boardroom, right? Like the red light is a floodlight or whatever on the thing. It was just like a transition thing. So where do you think the boardroom is? Just like at the very top? Is it that?
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of that. That there's kind of like this, sort of like it's windows all around. Maybe it's kind of like circular, even if the building top itself is not circular, that there's sort of this big circular deck that you kind of come in. There's maybe kind of like one of these like flowing grand staircases that kind of like moves up into it. Like it's a 2-story kind of thing. To where the board like table actually is.
Cool. And that's when the rocket hits.
Oh.
And I got a 5. So let's see. I think I'm going to. Oh, dude. You're gonna be dead. There we go. And so they got a 5. I'm trying to think where they would be aiming, though. That's what I'm thinking of. I think what would be like a structural thing, like a military person would be like, that's where I would go for, or whatever, right? Like they want to do the most damage. It kind of might be even the boardroom, right? Like, but I definitely, I don't want to cheapen Yeji's like climax either, right? That would be like, not so cool.
No, but if we like just cracked it open, and if she hits it, there will be a collapse, which might just be another clock until stuff collapses, and that's time pressure for everybody in the building.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Right? So what previously was more like, oh, there's like rubble down there and like lots of dust thrown up now actually becomes a fire inside or something like that.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say boardroom collapse. I'm going to do 2 ticks on that from it being, well, I'll do 3 ticks from that, from it being struck by a rocket. And so, like, I think, Yeji, you make your way there, and it's got, like, the prestigious bullshit doors that all boardrooms have, right? Like, they've imported this from, like, a monastery or some bullshit like that. So, and it's, like, hand-carved doors that are huge, like, double the size. And wood, so very expensive. Like if it was altered carbon, this would be like mirror wood and shit like that, right? And there's like a rumbling, like a shaking as if an earthquake. And as you fling open the doors, this room also looks like where you had just come from, where like the room had been struck and kind of like blown out or whatever. So the boardroom is still there and everything. It doesn't look as injured as that last place where it was just like, I don't know, the whole floor was gone or anything like that. But the windows are certainly all blown out and things are like unstable. And there's a long boardroom table. People had been meeting. Like you made sure that all the predominant shareholders were there and the company people were there and stuff like that, right? And people are just like generally freaking out. So what do you do?
So I think what I kind of want to do here is sort of like the Batman Begins kind of thing, where like I'm just kind of like sneaking up and like maybe taking them out kind of like one by one while like voicing threats to the others. I think the other thing that I did do, ultimately what I want to lead this to is there was like a water cooler and I grabbed like a glass off of the shelf there and just like hacked up some of that orange disease stuff into that. And so ultimately, I think whoever's in charge here, I want to get them to drink that. Yeah.
Gage is weird. Okay. Okay. Well, I think there'll definitely be at least one guard here, and we'll say the rocket took out like the other one or something, right?
Sure.
And I think the one guard is just protecting like the head of the company, whomever that might be, right? But yeah, everybody's like freaking out. So are you gonna take out the guard first?
Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna take out the guard, and the guard probably has like a communications device to at least like the people in charge of this meeting. Like maybe there's some like guest delegates or whatever from different branches of Nourish that don't have that, but like the people who Yeji's really after here are going to have that earpiece. So that's
yeah.
Try and take him out and get that like yeah.
I think that makes sense too, because they would totally be the type of company that would be like, you're a guard, but you're also our translator, right? Like, we need to double down on paying you less for doing multiple jobs and stuff like that. So they're probably not completely dressed like we had seen the military people before. Like they're still looking like a guard, but they're also having to, in fact, like it works to your position that they are dressed down for this because they were like, no, a guard doesn't sit in on our meetings, right? You have to look respectable and you're the translator. So instead they have the sort of like Star Trek dress robe version of a guard uniform on, right? Cool. So yeah, and then they can have that like earpiece thing that you're describing it, right? Where it's kind of like on the local area network so that when they're translating, it goes to whomever it needs to go to.
Yeah.
So how is it that you take this person out?
So yeah, they're kind of like right in the doors, I'm assuming.
I think you go in the doors and they're at the far end of the head of the table or whatever, right? And people are like freaking out, and so is the guard, and the place is shaking, and you know.
Could I just like throw one of my blades?
Yeah, totally.
How that doesn't get me the thing though.
No, it can be on, right?
Well, I need the microphone.
What do you mean?
So getting that earpiece from the guard. And
Yeah, so I'd imagine you'd like fling it and also be running at them or something like that.
kind
Right?
of like following. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like maybe you're running along the table or something like that, right? Doing the like Oren Ishii thing, right? Like, if any of you fuckers have anything to say, now's the time, right?
That's kind of what we're getting to here. Yep.
Yeah, it seems like it. Cool. Okay, so what action do you think that is?
I feel like that's finesse.
Cool. Yeah, like a planned cool little shot, right? Cool. And so I think this will be risky. The whole place is like you're running on a table that isn't unstable, but the ground is unstable, right? Like things are shaking and all that kind of stuff. And they are a guard. They might, who knows, you might underestimate their ability and like they'll, knock it out of the way or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
So risky, standard effect, I think. Yeah, especially because you have the searing thing on right now anyway, right?
Yeah.
So
yep, for sure.
Yeah. Basically anything other than like a perfect block is like, you're fucked up anyway. So cool. Ripple. I could go for a response time clock, or I could go for the boardroom unstable, going up more. You're halfway there.
Let's break down the stability of this boardroom a little bit.
Okay, that'll be 2 ticks.
Okay.
So you'll have 1 tick left.
I think I can act quickly enough to make that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens here.
Yes.
All right. Just thinking I'll just go off of that. 5.
5, cool. So in a risky position, you do it, but there's a consequence. Suffer harm, complication occurs, reduced effect. You end up in a desperate position.
Maybe like you do it and you down the guard, but the actual CEO himself is armed. So as you approach, he like suddenly pulls out something.
And he's the one that shoots you as you're like bearing down on the guard?
Or that's the desperate position you're in afterwards.
Yeah,
before you can actually do your stuff.
That's fair, yeah. Let's do that. And we'll say it's a female CEO. I'll look for... Oh, this is cool. I like this one. She looks like she will fuck you up. Here's a picture of the CEO dressed like that. So it's sort of like futuristic, dread, opulent earring action with some like leather power wear and some like white markings on her face. Like she mad.
Yeah, I mean, she versus Yeji, that's like an awesome finale battle scene, I think.
Does she have blades in her hair?
I don't know how to describe
super cool 20-something versus a 70-year-old woman.
Can we say the weapon she has is that she's got blades in her hair? She's gonna fucking like whip her hair.
Whoa,
that's cool. Yeah,
it's dread opulence.
Yeah, so the dreads are even like way longer than that, right? Like they go down to her feet, so it becomes like, something like that. And that's totally like like an opulent thing, as you say, right? Where it's like only a fucking CEO would want that. Like nobody in the field is like, gotta fuck him up with my hair. That's what I gotta do, right?
So if somebody like insults her at a board meeting, she can just like flip a hair at him without standing.
Oh my god, it's so over the top, but I love it. Okay, cool. So yeah, you bear down on the on the guard, you get the earpiece, they're dead, all that kind of stuff, right? Like you reach down, you get your blade, and as you stand up, there's like a gun at your like leveled at your head, right? And then I think we'll cut away back to the Steve, where I think
I want to resist the consequence actually.
Oh, okay.
And here's how.
Okay.
Because I'd be in a desperate position, but if I make this situation risky for her as well, it becomes less risky for me in a way. So as she like said this, right? Why shouldn't I just kill you now? Like, yeah, I turn halfway towards her and go like, well, I'm actually loosening the tie, pulling open the shirt, and you see like wires running in and vanishing into the flesh.
Yeah.
And I open the jacket and I'm packing my demolition tools strapped to me. If my life signs go out, everything on this floor goes out with me.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so what do you think that is for resisting? Insight or?
Oh, you get to say what it is, right?
So let's see. Trace, study, survey, modify, pack, control, network, sway. It feels insighty to me. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, totally.
Nice. 2 stress.
2 stress. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, I think like we see her lips almost like part to say that, but then you do that first, right? And the words never like come out of her mouth, and she sort of like inclines her head as like, oh, I see, right?
Yeah, or it's fine that she, like, I have the argument. That's why you shouldn't kill me, right?
Yeah. But
right
she as she's like instead of saying that, instead she like lights a inky cigarette. Like it's all I don't know if you know, these Korean smokes are like squid flavored. You can get them now actually, like they're fairly popular, and so they actually like emit like a black smoke, and that's what she's smoking. Also, they're disgusting in my opinion.
Have you tried them?
Yeah, I've tried them, and I was like, that's even worse than a regular smoke. Yeah, and she kind of smiles, and that's when like we're working in like a little bit of a time lapse, or not lapse, but like it's like a little bit before, and that's when you hear the like click of the rocket go, and she's like, you should know something too, Hannah. She's on my side, and then it's like boom, right? And like the building explodes and stuff, and then yeah, what do you say?
Yeah, and like take a deep breath and say, well, I don't think we're quite done with the surprises yet, though. And as I look over to like the billowing after effects of the hit on the building, right? I pull out, and I'm like slowly, like I'm like, what? I don't have a weapon here. Pull out slowly, like specialized tech, I'm going to call it, and it's a data slab that is a receiver for the stream Gebraisch is sending out. So I'm going like, this is what we're getting right now. If you want any specifics early, tell me now, and we can get into business. I want to basically sway her into yeah, what do we want? I think I want to offer, well, this is a good chance for you to make a big headway to what you as Carrion want. And what we want is, we'll obviously need protection afterwards. from any repercussions from this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the split peas can protect us from Nourish if Nourish actually puts their mind to taking us out.
Right.
But getting into the good graces of Carrion, that might work.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, I like that. Because if it works, it's very easy for her to just be like framing you guys as like the heroes of this. Like it's literally like such a cyberpunk thing, right? Where they just like do the media twist on this. Like the spin is that y'all like brought Nourish to like put the centralized information to public consumption that they should have been doing the whole time, and yada yada yada, right? So yeah, I like that.
So what, like, I guess it's clear it's risky, right? Because I prevented it from going desperate, but what effect do I have? Because I have an idea how I might push the effect here.
Yeah. Because
I think I have something on offer, but it's still Carrion. There's still
double
2 tiers
crossy
above
as
us.
fuck too, right? Like,
yeah, exactly that as well.
Yeah. I think we'll start at risky limited, and you can make it desperate standard if you wanted to.
Yeah, and I think I've like hand her the data pad so she can take a better look at it, turn back around and look outside, and I say, we're no mere terrorists. You'd be working with competent people instead of against. Like, and I named the whatever the code word for the incident out in the waste, like, right? We fought Carrion before, and I'm making it desperate and like basically telling her that was us.
Yeah, we could fuck you up. Like we're not just like pigeons or whatever, right?
Well, like desperate in the sense, like, yeah, we might not have the resources yet, but we're very competent. You must admit that, because we basically kicked your guys' ass out there, and but that's obviously like, now she's probably thinking about, well, it would be nice to kill this guy again.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm like, yeah, that could definitely swing either way. Okay, yeah, I like that.
So then it's desperate standard, yeah.
Yeah, and
so, I have something little fiction to add, is just like, if it's the camera watching this, is we're not terrorists, and it's just a shot of switching to Cross, who's like unplugging like the Wi-Fi and then putting like other demolition charges all over this room.
Nice. Yeah. I could offer a Ripple, which is the act of God hits now prematurely. Or the boardroom collapses, or the response goes up. Any of those would be acceptable.
I kind of like that the response shows up, like, or the clock goes up. That's still a little bit, but I think we need to see Nourish respond at some point. And I think we're pretty far along.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In the fiction, how long have you guys been in the building, you think?
I was more thinking in terms of dramatic things. Like, if we don't see what the Nourish response, that's why I feel like I'd like to push the Nourish response clock.
Sure. Okay, yeah. So I moved it up. It's 2 away, which is 1 more double bargain, right? A ripple, 1 more ripple away, or
a consequence or something.
Or a consequence, yeah. And I like that too, because the board room collapse is 1 away as well. So all these things are culminating nicely.
That's superseding every other order. Is like, hey, your VIPs are under attack. Maybe pull back from whatever else you were just doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 2 dice. Let's see where it goes. Nice.
get that XP too for the desperate roll. Anyone who rolled desperate. Cool. So
She's into it.
Yeah. So I think she like takes the cigarette and flicks it off the building, right? And she's like, "That was you. Impressive. We could always use people of your skills on our side, I suppose. Protecting you will be no small feat, but you've shown us that you're an ally already."
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, she's on board. You guys could probably even take status +1 with Carrion, especially from all of this stuff. They definitely are like, that's cool. Fucking up nerves is pretty good. We haven't managed to do it, so especially on this scale with like lightning bolts being like, caw, caw. Cool. So Cross, it sounds like you're fucking up this room pretty good.
I'm totally screwing up this room. And then just like, because we got all the data, like that's already been done. And so it's now just destroying all their things. So they have to go to backups or they have to, whatever it is, like it's just pouring salt into the wound type thing of destroying them. So yeah, I think this is wreck with demolition tools.
Sounds like it. Are you the one thing that'll hurt you with this is that your demolition tools, are they fine for one?
They're not. So the other thing I could do instead of demolition tools, I do have a fine sunjet which cuts through a bunch of stuff. So I could just use that to just like start wrecking things with that instead.
Okay. I don't know. I think that kind of stuff might be like I think the protection on stuff like that would be tough. So at the very least, it would take you more time.
Okay.
To do it that way. Also, you could always flash back and acquire demolition stuff that is a higher tier if you have the money for that.
I'll take the. I don't have a ton of money for it or stress, so flashbacking and then spending money is probably not super great.
Okay. So how about
maybe
I'll
it's
give
just
you
limited.
Yeah, well, it'll be probably desperate, limited, and then ripple wise, I will boardroom collapse response. Act of God prematurely hits.
Let's go with the response.
Cool.
Yeah,
so that'll fill that.
Yeah, the response is here. I feel like I kind of need to. I want to bump it up from limited, but I don't have a ton of dice in rec. This could be problematic.
Can anyone flash back to help you prepare this or anything like that, or schematics or anything?
I can definitely. I can even. I have the stress to spend for the flashback too.
Sure.
Cool. So I'll spend the ripple then on increase in effect because I actually want to like blow this stuff up. I'll take the 1d from the assist, and that should be it, I think. Cool. So it is desperate, it is standard, and 1 bonus die.
How much does that flashback cost me?
Just 1, I think. Cool.
And
so you guys are getting that XP this time. What were we going to say, Matthias?
The Gilia flashback, that was also 1. I forgot we didn't talk about it.
Oh, yeah, we'll say 1. It's definitely not contrived. I'm debating between 0 or 1 because it seems like the whole plan all along was to talk with them, right?
I'm fine with 1. If you're thinking 0 or 1, 1 is cool. Like, should cost me something to do that kind of bullshit.
Sure. Okay. Well, if anything, it would be 1 from. I think it would be 0 for that and 1 for the C4. Where you're just like, oh.
that I paid for with my load, right?
Yeah, I know.
I just explode now on this.
Fictionally, though, the bullshit I think is more with the C4 than talking with her, right? Cool. Okay, so yeah, that goes splendid.
Yeah. Well, I got a 6.
But what is, how do you know that safety arrives? What does the building do or the room do? Like, how is it modified? What tells you that you know that like response has arrived?
I think it's totally like I blow up the thing and like I'm standing far enough away from it, like from the explosion, just to make sure that it goes off and everything is destroyed. But like as soon as it goes off, like there's maybe that blackout, like where everything flashes, like all of the lights like do that flash and reset, and I can start to see like some of like the like one of the cameras, like the monitor type things that's up there. Maybe there's something here that like basically is monitoring an outside door, because if this is the data warehouse,
totally.
like they might be able to see from here who might be coming in or something like that, and that's where I see one of the other people.
Right. Like the window is kind of ending, right, for the
Yeah.
EMP and all that. And then like the screen flickers on and you see like SWAT people coming in and all that
exactly.
shit. Right? Like actually I think what you see is like SWAT people on the ground, but also like a halo, right? Like up top coming in. Cool. Love it. And so up in the boardroom, there's a gun in your face, Yeji. That's not the best. Mike? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is not so fun. But there it is.
Is this a boss fight?
It can be a boss fight. I want like a James Bond monologue, a James Bond villain monologue here, though. I think like Yeji is kind of like, yeah, like picking up this blade and kind of like very like slowly, cautiously turning, and she says, I've come a long way to bring you back something of yours."
To bring us back something? Are you a jilted employee? Thought you should have been paid more?
No. I am a victim of yours. Perhaps not intentionally, but, and then like I think the camera would like cut to you see like Nourish releasing like these nanites out into the forged, and you see like them like interact with an active god and become like malformed on this like microscopic level, and then you see it raining those down and catching in those sort of like sheets or whatever that we'd seen previously. And then you see like a younger Yeji and a younger like Hothrin and Elif and all of these sort of like criminals, but they're happy and they're young and they look healthy and totally ripped. And kind of like they're toasting and they kind of like drink the water. And then, yeah, like, so this whole thing is like progressing and like, you're kind of like seeing that like that's the source of the disease. And so then it cuts back and it's like, and she says, you know of the glacium pearl, and that's just what I'm going to call the whatever this disease is.
Yeah. I think she's like, and do you know that those experiments made it so that we have this technology so that nobody suffers from the cold or the flu and everybody gets healed as long as they have recharges on them?
I do know that. But what concerns me is that while we sit in the forged, feeling all of this pain, you sit here in this glass boardroom, which is certainly not as nice as it was 5 minutes ago, but you have simply reaped the benefits while poisoning the land.
I think she's like, you see like a single tear come down, right? And then she does that thing where at first we think that she's showing like contrition or something like that, right? And then she like starts sobbing, and it turns into like maniacal laughter basically, and she's just like, oh please, you old lady, like what we've done is in service to everybody. We're one of the pillars of this shelter, and you should be on your knees thanking me. But so instead, I'll put a bullet in your head and you'll thank me for it.
At that moment, there's another zap of the act of God hits the building. Like, obviously, it doesn't affect this area. And the AG kind of looks and she says, you are about to not be a pillar anymore. This pillar is about to fall. It seems that there's quite a lot going on to make that happen here, and I can't control all of it, but what I can do is offer you a trade. And she kind of like pulls out this glass of just the orange like blob of glacium pearl and kind of swirls it around, and she says, I can stop that act of God. Just take a drink.
And she's like, that's a good deal, but how about I give you the finger? and I won't take your life if you stop it now. Do you want to roll to try to sway her with it?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to do in sway, but let's try it out.
Yeah. Is this sway or is this control?
Yeah, like if it's up to free play for this person, she's just gonna be like,
yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, let's see how many dice can I get out of
well
start. Yeah.
There's definitely gonna be a ripple here for sure. But
yeah, I will take
so
a ripple.
What do you have? Sure. You're a fuse, right?
Yep.
You've got, you don't have too much in items here.
Nope.
You could do a flashback if you've got XP though, to try to like fuck with her head or something too, though, right?
Oh, that might be interesting.
Like you could always do the flashback and be like, oh, you're cocky now or whatever, but Billy at home and all that shit, right? Like just know everything about her family and all that stuff, and be like, if you don't get home by 6 p.m., Billy's already drinking this. I put it in your pipes, some shit like that, right? Your kid's gonna suffer like I did, bitch.
Could we have Cross has brought Billy in?
Oh, snap. Okay. That'll be a 2 stress thing. Who's paying that stress, though?
I can pay that stress. I've got a couple stress to give.
Yeah, because so like where's Billy been this whole time? What about like a thing that makes more sense is like, what about like a screen that shows Billy being held by someone else or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Something.
I think we could have Billy in the building. Maybe we rigged the elevator to stay closed, and now there's like an elevator door at the penthouse is gonna slide.
Oh, maybe that's why Gabrish came in.
Okay, yeah, Gabrish, you have some. Yeah, you've been done with the hacking for a bit. Maybe we could say. So this is your brain twist, Matthias. What? Cool. So like, yeah, if you pay the 2 stress, that's fine. The elevator door clings and Gabrish is there with Billy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't want to be there.
Okay, Billy is there.
Although I do now, though. I didn't think about that. I want to witness this. I'll be there.
Okay. So yeah, the danger is more like, is there a similar jar of liquid with Gabrish? Like, is Gabrish into this?
I think, well, because these bolts are running through the lightning or through the elevator shaft. So I think that that's like, if she doesn't care, maybe we thought about like, we kind of planned this out and thought about it. Like, what if she doesn't care about the building? Like, what if that's not her concern? And there's, and we were thinking like, what if, and maybe Cross even, I don't know if we knew that Cross was going to detonate the whole thing, but maybe Cross even was just like, yeah, but what if something else were to happen to the building while the lightning is zapping or something like that? And so we kind of thought through that and we're like, well, we can put something that she actually will care about in the path of the active god. So I think like perhaps like, he's in the elevator. And so then it's kind of like another bolt comes down and Yeji says like, well, we're about to hit down on that elevator. You've got 10 seconds to make a decision. Something like that.
Cool. So Gabraish isn't in there then, right? Because otherwise he's going to get fried.
Gabraish is like, maybe Gabraish comes out of the elevator and is going to operate the elevator to like send it down into the path of the lightning shafts.
Okay.
My Chromebook with my finger just hovering over a key.
I think ordinarily I would have had a role for this to have a setup, but I like it fictionally enough that we'll just say that it's a setup action, especially since we're getting close to time and we want to do not monologues, epilogues. We want to do monologues. So cool. You have the benefit of the setup for this, which would increase your position or effect, whichever you would like. And this person's name is, we'll say, Violet.
Okay.
Not Billy. And so the elevator doors ding, right? Her eyes widen, and we see that you have like more position or effect, whatever it is that you choose.
Okay, I'll take position.
Oh, we have Violet? Hazel, then? Maybe Hazel? Wow, that's an old person name. Maybe Paisley.
Chrysanthemum.
Or that, sure. Just bust it out. Cool. And so Gabraish is helping you already with the setup action. So you can take the benefits of that. If anyone else can think of how they might lend an assist die, they might be able to do that as well. No? It sounds like not.
Nothing? All right.
So what do you roll it then?
I am rolling, I guess, with sway or command, it doesn't matter.
It sounds like it's a control, right?
Yeah, I think it probably
it's like, hey, this is a good deal, right?
Yeah.
Kid's gonna blow up. Sounds cool. Yeah, so I think it's more of a controlling situation. Also, this could be a thing where if you have a stress to pay, or you already paid stress. So I was going to say you could have gotten a cybernetic or something too, right? That would help you do that.
What would that cybernetic be?
You have blades in your hair.
Nice. Incremental increase. Mutually assured destruction with our hair.
I mean, here's the question, right? Does Yeji actually care if she gets shot here?
I mean,
as long as you manage to carry out what you're doing.
That's a fair point. Yeah, like I just really want someone within Nourish to be suffering from what I have suffered from. I feel like I have lived a long and fulfilling life, especially if I've gotten the signal that like y'all have completely looted this place out.
So you only need a 4 or higher.
That is true.
Yeah, and if you want this to be the end of Yeji.
It would be very sad.
It's still up to you, right? You would just say I want to
course.
resist it and trauma out, and then like it would be like, oh,
Yeah.
Left 4 Dead or whatever, right? So it would still be cinematic and cool though if you
Yeah.
want to do that.
Let's leave it up to the dice gods here. I've got 1 die.
Go 1 die.
Yeah.
Okay. 4. Okay, cool. So, and this whole thing was to convince her to drink, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
To take the offer.
Convince. Force.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think she at first is like, you wouldn't dare, right? But then when you guys make eye contact, she sees that you have 0 fucks in you, right? You're like, I don't even care about my own life, bitch, basically. And so like she still holds the gun to your head, but she like shakily, unsteadily, all the time making like eye contact with the elevator doors, takes the drink.
I think as Yeji hands over the drink, she kind of sheathes her blade, takes out a little packet of sugar, and just sprinkles some sugar in there.
Wow. And it's like, what's that stuff that's like carcinogenic sugar that diabetics always add to the drink?
Aspartame?
Yeah, aspartame. Yeah. So it's just like another chemical thing, right? Like, this will taste better, but it's also bad for you. Cool. Yeah, she like drinks it, which is so gross. Complication though. Yeah, I don't know. The thing is I wonder if she would pull the trigger if her kid is being held like that, right? I think the complication I'll go with is like the helo lands, right? Like you hear the boardroom must be like close to the roof or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you hear the like chop, 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 chop. Well, actually, it's probably completely silent, but you hear it like land and like boots on the ground mobilizing and shit like that. You know that your time is like very limited here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at you after she's done or whatever, and she's probably like, just for the audience's benefit, she has like that smear of orange or whatever on her lips or something. And so she says, so you'll let Chrysanthemum go.
And yeah, Yeji nods. Yeah.
I was kind of thinking you killed them all, actually.
We're not savages. We keep our word. Unlike you.
Yeah, so it's like the one-upmanship. Okay. So I guess the thing is now, yeah, like I don't think she's going to take a shot because Gabracia at any moment could just be like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to fucking shoot your kid then, right? But the immediate situation is, how do you guys get out of there? I think this will be the last sort of scene, right? Like a group effort to get out maybe or something, and then we can move to epilogues. Something like that. So what is the plan to get out? Does anyone have a contrived flashback to get out?
I do.
Okay.
Well, if you guys are amenable to us. Although also since Yeji and I are in the boardroom, I was mostly thinking of how we're gonna get out, so I don't know. But my idea was in my flashback when I came to the building before we like hit it, I think that I messed with some custodial logs. So there, maybe a floor below us, there's one of those like nests or whatever that window washers use on tall buildings. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So that's it. And then like I shoot a window and we jump out and have like a very climactic drop to the floor, to the street. Cool.
I don't think. Well, yeah, we'll do a group thing because I made the otherwise, I would have just said sure, but
maybe that's how we get to the
right? Yeah. So is it a ghost out there or what? What do we think?
Yeah,
I think so.
Except I think I'm not taking part. I think I think Gilia is taking me with her.
Oh.
Like, not giving me an out there. Well, you're coming with us.
Okay. Sweet.
That kind of thing.
Okay. So y'all three roll. It will be risky and standard. You'll get out, right? Assuming that you're like, is it a ghost? Is that what everybody's thinking? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then if you have items or whatever, you might get more effect on it or something, but it seems pretty straightforward. Get out before they can. Yeah, who is leading the action? It sounds like Gabrish, it's your plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I, maybe as part of this fireman, and we're gonna rip off our fireman hats. I find disguise gear. Can I like use that for the group to be
sure.
like, Yeji and I will land. We'll meet up with Cross, and then like there's a second where we like zip up and then walk out.
And in the movie version of this, we had it like, we had a shot before the firemen rip off their stuff, right? Like we've seen them interspersed at the beginning of this, like foreshadowed, and then we get that same shot, but then we realize it's y'all taking off the stuff, right? Cool.
So what do I do with the disguise kit that increases the effect?
Yeah. Okay. Which should, totally would do the fireman action with great effect, yeah.
We're great firemen.
Yes.
Oh, come on, roll 20. Go.
You can do it.
I got a 5 on my prowl.
Cool, so you don't stress out. Yeji. Crits. You guys are assholes. Okay.
So that means I get to kill a few people on the way out, right?
Sure, yeah. Whenever you guys you escape very well with increased effect beyond. You have extreme effect getting out. So what is But and is the one with the crits, so they'd be leading this out. So, and nobody takes stress because everyone succeeds too. So yeah, what is it, Yeji? What is there like a mind-bending twist to this ending beyond the fireman thing happening, or what?
No, I mean, I kind of like the idea of Yeji is just like in like full slaughter mode. Like she essentially says, I don't know if we established the name of who the CEO is, but she kind of says like, you can take Chris and a couple others. The rest of this place is mine. And she just like goes through as they're like walking out, and it's just like as they're walking past people, like she's just like slicing people up.
It's Oren Ishii fucking people up. Cool. I like the idea of even like the CEO reaching for one person and Yeji's like, not them.
Yeah, like they've got some like there's some kind of like known history. Like maybe that's the person that we saw in the scene, like actually like commanding the release of these nanites into the forged or whatever. So yeah, kind of like that idea.
Oh yeah, I like the idea of it tying into like as you're killing them, there's the flashbacks of like these people working on the project in the lab and like all these different aspects that they've had working on this project, right? It keeps flashing back to them, their sins as they're being cut down by you, right? Cool. And so when you take off your fireman's mask, is there like a splash of blood across your face?
Oh, for sure. Maybe her whole face. Well, it's kind of like, so all these characters that you've had have like the like big like painted things. So I think like it's like probably the opposite of that. Like if she wasn't wearing like goggles or whatever anymore, like, or whatever, whichever way it is, but like it's just like a mask of like blood essentially. Yeah.
Epic. Okay. So boom. I think that boom goes the dynamite with that. Done. How about epilogue? Let's go with Cross. You haven't done something in a while.
Yeah, so I think this is What would the epilogue of this be? I think it's totally like me just like getting out. And your idea for the epilogue is like we're out of the building and it's just like what do we do in the downtime like after that?
It can be as far reaching as you guys would like, I think, depending on like what you have in mind for your own characters. Like if you're coming back next month or not or whatever, it can be whatever you like.
Cool. So yeah, I think it's Cross is just basically this will get into like what the downtimes for next time is, but it's basically like talking with Orlin and the obligation and stuff like that. But it's like her telling the story of like what happened, like to Nourish from her perspective to like a bunch of like probably like kids that are like refugees coming into Shelter One, and it's like and that's why you now have like a lot more access to this food and to all of this other stuff now that has happened, type thing.
Cool. Matthias?
I think we get this Gilia going, nodding and saying, okay, you're coming with us. And I don't think I think you don't hear from the Steve again. Like there's no feedback what happened to him or what else. But we get this news framing that we talked about, kind of, right? That might be like a thing where like, what the hell was going on there? And you don't get like a report back if that plan went successful or not. The Steve is just gone. But a couple of weeks afterwards, I think someone like a customer shows up in the garden and he's like showing some interest, asking some weird questions, and then leaves before he goes, or then is suddenly gone again. And one of you or someone else of the crew or the garden finds like a dead animal carcass, like something small, like a rat or something like that, with like basically the a contact kind of thing for getting in touch with the carrion for whatever future endeavors. Like this is like the first contact kind of thing to establish, okay, there's a relationship between the carrion and the constant gardeners now, that who knows what it will lead to. But yeah, the Steve's not heard from again. It's just a big mystery what's going to happen to him or not.
Cool. Darren?
I think that considering how big the score was, Gabrish, I think, spends a long time like laying low. And I think also my like rival is this retired haunt, so I think maybe there's some pushback from the haunt community because it was kind of like too big, and maybe they don't want to associate with me quite as much or yet in the like immediate time. So Gabrish, I think, is mostly just like doing more tattoos with the data runners and working around the community garden. It's like a long weekend, and Gabrish just pulls on their gardening gloves and puts in the work.
Cool. And Mike?
So yeah, I think everyone comes back and like Eiji's washing her face. You probably see for the first time in maybe a long time, like Yeji kind of like smile as she's kind of like thinking about things. And I think like she sort of like says like, I told you that only taking the necessary vials from Nourish was going to pay off in the end. And kind of takes those, I guess it's just Cross and Gabrash at this point, and maybe some of those the people that were hanging out with us to the hunt, and they just have, yeah, we see this cut of them just having like this epic like party in there, and just like, yeah, gambling, winning, probably breaking even for the evening. But yeah, like it's a big celebration. And then yeah, like you kind of like part with like Yeji is in the Green Mile, and she's just playing with the kids, the little hippie children.
Is she like playing knife games with them?
Yeah, no, I think that would be the twist, right? Like, so you see her, and it looks like she's just like playing around, but then like as the camera kind of like pulls in, you see she's like teaching them like throw or like spin knives in their hands and like things like that.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so let's quickly do housekeeping stuff. So rep 2 per default, plus 1 per tier, and they're tier 5, you were tier 1, so that's 6 plus 6 rep. That's a lot. Let's see, coin. It was going to be, I think, at least 12, and then you increased it. So
14.
I kind of like it even just doing a fortune roll to see like, and we'll just add the number. So it could be as much as 6, but as low as 1.
Okay.
If it's a 1, it's like Gabrash just too much of a rush.
Of course, with these guys, I'm just like 6
So
is
we're
the
18. That's
yeah,
more
18.
Than...
That's a
What
lot.
is it?
Yeah, 18. And remember,
So,
you can always put stuff in your stash too.
Yeah, so that's 4 for the crew, I would say. So the crew's stacked for next time, then the vault is full unless the vault gets increased. So that's 14.
And
so 3 for everybody, and there like 2 lying around. Who continues? I think they should get the additional one.
Yeah, who's in the next series?
So I'm in the next series.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, then 4 for Cross. You too?
And Darren too? Yeah. Okay.
And I appear once.
Okay.
Well, then you can remind them that like they owe you still.
Yeah, you'd be like, listen up, kids. Let me tell you a story. Okay, so now we're on to heat though, because that's gonna be big. So do we think it's smooth and quiet, contained, loud and chaotic, or wild?
Yeah, the last. It is definitely wild.
Yeah. Plus 1 heat for high profile is that's 7. Plus 1 heat if it happened on hostile turf is you're not at war with them, and plus 2 if killing, but killing doesn't matter to y'all, right? So that is 8.
Okay.
Boom. That's
not too shabby.
That's a wanted level.
Yeah. That makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
And then if you have, why don't we do crew XP first? Because then you might be able to buy the vault or something like that, right?
Yeah, potentially. So execute a successful accident, disappearance, murder, or ransom operation. So arguably we did multiple of those.
Yeah. I think yeah, like if this was the John Harper episode thing, it would be like take 3, right? Where he's like, I never do this, but yeah, I would say at least 2. You could take 3 if you wanted to, because that was a big thing.
Let's not break the rules.
Even John Harper did it, you know. Cool.
Content with challenges above your current station.
I think that's a 2, right?
That's definitely a 2 because like me bringing in the carrion.
Yeah.
So we definitely had 2 different factions there.
Well, and Yeji going to head against the CEO as well.
Yes.
You didn't even need to have that challenge. So.
Bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one. We are professional and deadly. I think we definitely did that. Both of those.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Should make a new one, not to be fucked with.
Express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew.
Yeah, Yeji at least would get 1 XP for that, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been like talking about taking down Nourish this entire time, so
yeah.
Inner conflict. What about Steve, and all that?
Oh yeah,
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I feel we did. I feel like there's a lot of like people going at slightly odd angles towards where our crew was going for.
And as part of like goals and drives, we saw everybody wanting to do their own thing and get like a sub thing done, which is very like on brand and genre, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna do the plan, but also I have this side thing that I want.
Definitely. Yep. So we have a crew advancement and
yeah. So what do you guys want?
Here's a question, right? If next time, like next month, new people are playing, maybe we leave this open and they can pick something that they're into, and that gives them a little bit of control and creativity, like to shape.
I'm good with that.
Sure. Yeah, you could do that.
I'll just
I'm writing it down on the notes.
Cool. Okay, then. Well, and while you're there, Matthias, do you want to do your player 1 too? Then.
So I rolled 1 desperate action and resolve and marked, or in sway and marked that. I address a challenge with technical skill or mayhem. Yeah, technical skill, like right in the beginning, right? I didn't add to the mayhem this time, though.
Well,
no, we didn't see it, but I think strapping a bomb to your chest.
Yeah, like a.
It didn't go off though, luckily.
Yeah, but every action that you did definitely could have been mayhem. Like every single one of them are like, if this goes wrong,
I'm pushing it. Yeah. Okay. You expressed your beliefs, drives, culture, or background. Yeah, I think that like the ambition was really clearly showing here. So that's another one. You struggled with issues from your vice, root, or traumas during this session. I'm kind of torn. I didn't struggle with any of those, but I also feel like
I feel like you were acting unstable.
Yeah, but I didn't struggle with an issue that came from that. But I do think I need a second one for beliefs, drives, cultural background, just to round this out.
Yeah, I would say one or the other. Yeah.
I think him going with the carrion is a thing. That's a thing. Like on a player level, I think they took him as a kind of, well, at first they took him as kind of a security deposit, right? But that he doesn't show up again afterwards is definitely something that is kind of his own choice. And I don't know why yet, but it's definitely something that shows that. So if he does come back, I'll have something to spend this stuff on.
Sure. Cool. Darren?
I rolled my desperate action. Let's see. Did I address a challenge with deception or influence? Yeah. With the that guard was lying to him, influencing him.
Billy?
What?
The chrysanthemum thing, right?
Yeah.
That was a pretty big deception. Didn't see that coming.
True.
I think you definitely get to, because we also had like the whole like escaping with the disguises that you used stuff. So I think you definitely get to for it.
Okay. All right, let's take it. I buy it. To express my beliefs, drives, culture, background. I think definitely beliefs in background, because getting that extra side data, and then you saw the cool hacking montage. Good British pulling that out.
Yeah, that was quite a cool moment. So
I hope so. I tried. And then I started with issues of vice or trauma. It did not. It like just occurred to me that I could like bring in the vice purveyor and like cause problems with that. So going forward,
yeah,
I will try to make them an issue.
Cool. And Mike.
So I didn't have any desperate actions. Dressed a couple things with stealth or precision. I think I expressed beliefs, drives, culture, and background a couple times, and struggled with issues from a vice root or traumas during play. Probably 1 for that. 5 altogether.
Yeah, I think that like if it hadn't been ingrained in Yeji that this had happened, it would have just been you blew her heads off, right? Like instead of this crazy elaborate thing to make her subject to the same disease as you and drink this nasty ass shit. So yeah. That sounds legit. Cool. And Yoshi.
Yeah, so violence or coercion. I think I did a little bit, but not a whole lot. So I think I only get like 1 XP from that. Just in terms of like dealing with some of the guards and blowing stuff up and stuff like that. But like I wasn't like really taking on a bunch of guards all by myself type thing. The beliefs, drives, and culture and background, though, I think like that definitely helped, like going for Nourish, like in terms of like what I care about and trying to get people safe and doing things like that. I think I hit pretty hard. I also think the hitting the trauma for like being obsessed with Nourish hit. Like I did not need to blow up that building, like that server room, and that probably cost me some time in order to get out and doing things like that, like getting people to set up. So I think I get 1 for that.
Yeah, well, the Halo would have landed, and if you hadn't crit exiting, something might have happened with that. But crits, as usual with y'all, were happening. So, yeah. Cool. All right. Do people want to do a quick stars and wishes thing for the ending? Because for some people it'll be like a mini ending at least for a bit, right? So let's start with Darren and we'll go in the same order.
I think a star for everybody this session, because like Fraser, I thought your characters were super good and your brain twists were good. Everybody I thought personified their characters super well, and I thought everybody had like really great like highlight moments in our like heist montage. Yeah, it was super good. High energy the whole time.
Any wishes?
Oh, I thought we did that at the beginning. Wishes going forward. I hope that the new people that come into the crew are as cool as this original crew. No, I actually I wish my wish is that I hope we keep up this sort of the pacing. I thought the pacing was super good in this first arc over these 4 sessions or so. So I want to see that again.
Cool. Matthias?
Yeah, stars with like everybody chasing down what they wanted out of the score. That's super awesome. I found and star for you, Fraser, for like just running with my bullshit. Right. and embracing that and enjoying it, I hope. Because yeah, that's definitely a thing in Blades, right? Players can do so many wacky side stuff and bring that in. And yeah, stars for like this whole arc that we played like from beginning to end, and it's really nice. The way we started things was really like, okay, so who are these people? And this final score is like, yes, we know these people. Oh yeah, they're really like, it's really like when you watch a show and you're like, oh, that's finally the payoff. Like Yeji's going for what she's like constantly been going for and stuff like that. And we had these highlight moments. It's really cool. And wishes, yeah, I think I maybe like not next month, but if there's like continuation after July, I need to snag a spot to like a wish for a cameo appearance in one session for a, I don't know, like cybernetic, the Steve version that's been decked out by the Carrion or something like that.
Yeah.
That's super self-indulgent.
I was thinking after the 4 sessions next month or 5, whatever it lands on in the month, I'll have a month break, and then I'll probably do like the season 2, like things have changed a little bit, and incorporate all the stuff that I do that specific month where I go hard on Hack the Planet and stuff. And when I post that stuff, I'll give you guys a shout. Mike?
Yeah, so stars, I think like the whole like universe that you built, like I think we finally like have like really locked into that, and like that it was really cool to start like building and playing and like destroying to some extent all of that stuff, and it was really cool, and you're able to just keep on like feeding stuff in, so great job on that. And then obviously like everyone on the playing angle just like embracing like this like totally ludicrous plan and just like pushing it to always be like more and more ludicrous, like that. It, I don't know, I feel like that seems to be like the fun of this game, is like really like pushing things and pushing it, and then like yeah, like there's going to be consequences, but we'll deal with that later. Like let's just like get as many dice as we can right now. So that's awesome. It was a lot of fun. And then wishes, like right now I'm just trying to figure out like how I'm going to come in for the finale of next month. So yeah, I mean, that should be fun. So I hope that like I guess my wish is that like those of you who are continuing on, as well as our new compatriots, are able to set things up in a really nice way for when Matthias and I jump back in from time to time, or whatever it should be. Yeah.
Cool. And Yoshi?
Yeah, so I liked the session. I thought we had a lot of fun. Like just mechanical stars, I thought we did a really good job of like doing setup actions to help people to help deal with like the higher tier stuff. So like it felt really good to have like that mechanical part like clicking in order to get the potency and the increased effect. Like so super enjoyed that. I loved a lot of the scenes and just seeing everybody do all of their crazy stuff. I also really like the fact that this feels like the ending of the arc, like hitting the Nourish, the big target and everything. Like I really appreciate it when things have a good ending, and I'm a super fan of that for this. In terms of wishes for next time, I think part of this is sort of like off of that. I'm really glad we closed the arc, because I want to see how those new players come in and what they bring to it, and how that kind of I'd like to see them not just like fit in perfectly, like they are part of what it is, but like how they bring something slightly different in what they bring, and how that changes what next month looks like. So
cool. Yeah, I
definitely looking forward to just watching that, what happens there, and yelling about it and while I watch it.
Yeah, it'll be funny to see like it'll also be the like season 2 thing where like the main characters that are still there are like seeing the void of the people who have left and stuff too. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, Stars is just like Kyle Thompson talks about on the Slack, the real part of this game singing, I think, is when people understand the mechanics and start doing the bullshit stuff, right? Like, it's true that anybody can enjoy this game at the base level, but I think the really fun stuff is when you do the flashbacks and you surprise everybody else, even yourself, and be really creative and are open to all that kind of stuff. So it's just really cool going. Like, I think you guys have come from session 1 to 8, and I think Matthias would agree, right? Like, it's such a crazy disparate use of the mechanics. You guys picked up on it really fast, and once you grokked it, you use the system to get like this episode, right? It's a very cool, really good example of using the system to get really good fiction, because what the system does is like it realizes that you're always going to get good fiction from, you know, the person facilitating the game, but you'll get the best fiction from everybody facilitating the game and putting in ideas, because there's so many times when what I think the cool complication is, and then, you know, Matthias would come in and be like, what about this? I'm like, that's better, we'll do that, right? And that's what it's all about. Even in PBTA spaces, that happens as well. So the fact that this game that appears so trad does it so well, I think, is a really cool accomplishment for it. And yeah, I thought everybody brought it. I thought the story was awesome. And yeah, and like you were willing to put your characters on the line for it, right? There was a bunch of desperate actions. Desperate actions is like, you could be dead. And that happened like 3 or 4 times throughout it. Everybody already had stress from the session previous, except for maybe the Steve, right? So yeah, there was definitely like a lot of risk taking, and it all paid off in the end, which is what these like genre story things are about, and why Hack the Planet is a Blades in the Dark game, right? Like, it's synonymous with the cyberpunks doing that very same stuff when they're trying to subvert resistance and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, like, I like the idea that between the factions status stuff, you can do stuff like this where we're like, well, we probably can't take them out, but we can knock them down a peg to like a tier down and then get like 16 jewels worth of money right out of it, and takes a ton of heat, and who knows what happens next session. But we got all this like major payoff because Yeji's been coughing up that gross shit since session 1, right? And when we were like, okay, where's Mike going with this? So yeah, I don't know, a wish. I don't know. I think wish I should have had a clock also for an act of God hitting, which I forgot about. But at the same time, I had a lot of clocks juggling already, and it didn't like the act of God proper not hitting didn't feel like a big loss to the story or anything like that. So mechanically, I could have done that a little bit better. So I should watch out for things like that to juggle clocks better. But yeah, I'm excited to see where the game goes. And yeah, we might do like a reset season 2 for this one, and then the next month do a reset season 3 thing for that when I give you guys a heads up about that. Another thing that I was thinking too that might be cool is like, if season 3, it would be interesting if like I ran this crew as well as the tracers hunting this crew or something. That would be kind of interesting.
I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't acquire major bullet like targets on the back of us. No.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a couple of ripples where we took like, yeah, it's clearly everybody will know that I did this, and those consequences haven't shown up yet. They still have to come in some time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I was thinking that it might be interesting to do an actual like V versus sort of ish campaign where the tracers are hunting actually you guys, which would be really fun for Gauntlet people on the Slack too, right? Where they're like, oh shit, like I'm going after Yeji. I think that would be really fun. So I might make that happen. Does anyone else have any other thoughts or anything before I stop the broadcast?
If you do that, we'll have to make like a Gauntlet shit talking channel.
Yeah. Yeji ain't got nothing. Sweet. Okay. Matthias, do you have something?
Yeah, just reiterating kind of this was really good. Like these 8 sessions really show how it can grow, and now you can like see what the potential is. It's definitely a good example of that, this entire arc, I think.
Yeah, system mastery as well as like I think,
and like what I like also about it, like we had to like really struggle with it here in this session, and that makes it feel like, yeah, you can be like, you get that cheekish grin of the player who's like, well, but maybe if I do this as well and that consequence, right? You can be cheekish like that, and at the same time you're not just bullshitting the fiction in a sense, because there's still the mechanical bit that you need to wrestle down that the difference and tier and stuff like that, so it feels substantial.
Yeah, I think our fiction was honest. Yeah. So all the payoffs felt like payoffs because they weren't cheap, right? Yeah, like a whole bunch of those moves. It was definitely like the Sean Nittner Strosh thing of being like, how do I get great effect and 2 dice and all this stuff? Like there was some rolls where we were like, what is okay, let's break this down. Yeah, exactly. Because like, yeah, like Grabratia's hacker roll and like a bunch of other stuff, right? Where we were like, okay, so let's break this down. And part of that breakdown with the system mastery working together with the players is why we got such cool moments. Because if there wasn't a setup and there wasn't the assist on that and then a ripple to increase it and stuff, that would have like never happened. And all of that is just from players positioning, getting like system mastery with the MC. So yeah, I'm like personally a little proud because I feel like I explained the mechanics and have interceded enough times with you guys saying like, is this maybe a setup? Is this that? And I also think that this was a very good session displaying, pulling the party working very well with blades, right? Where I was like, okay, Matthias, you just did this crazy thing with with this lady, but y'all 3 back there right before this rocket hit, what's happening? And then that's when we got Yoshi helping the hacker roll, then the hacker roll happening, and like everything just compounded very nicely, right? So I think if you don't have that at a player level where someone's pulling the table, players are going to have to be pretty vocal to say like, actually I wanted to set up that, actually I wanted to do this, like what I want to do next is like, Gabrish, what do you think about this happening and stuff, right? So online space, that's really difficult because it's just hard in Hangouts to do that. But when someone facilitating like me is actually taking the time to pull the table, I think that is very good in this game for anybody watching. So
cool. Yeah, pulling the table is super useful for online spaces. Just putting that pause in to be like, okay, let's lay it on the table.
Yeah, make sure everybody's on the same fiction. And
yeah. I want to add too, if I can. Sorry to keep talking, but yeah, about like the system mastery and getting used to blades, because I know I've made a comment a few times about how hard it is to grasp blades and like start playing. And I think I just like ending up playing blades all the time every week now. I just like, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna show up to the table, and then just like sitting back and like paying attention and tracking things, and then like trying to ask more questions and then like just diving into like, okay, what does this mean? It felt like it came pretty naturally by this session where I'm like, okay, I can do all these things and like, oh, I want to set you up and like that. So I feel so much more comfortable now with blades in general than when I started.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it shows, right? Like, I think all the players have come a long way. We still have, I think, one more little bit of like bullshit that you guys can pull that you don't yet. And that's the protect thing, right? Where you could be like, actually, I flashback and I protect from this roll because X. That's some shit that you can still pull that people don't do that much. But I think we just don't see that because people are generally pretty stressed out during the missions. But it's definitely something I've seen before where like a current thing that happens in the fiction that is a consequence of something that you would have never known about becomes something that you resist for somebody else with a flashback.
And I also often try to make my resists push the fiction forward. Like the whole strapping on the bomb thing, the entire idea is, okay, well, that changes the entire situation going forward and makes it interesting in a different way. And at least making sure like the resists aren't just, oh no, nothing happens. No, something does happen, but it takes a different direction now.
Yeah, for sure. Which is, yeah, like the game is much better with all the like mini GMs working together for sure. And yeah, I like that whenever I'm kind of lost, I'm like, does anyone have a ripple? Does anyone have a complication? And we just take the most interesting thing, right? So sweet. Okay. Stopping the broadcast.